But it does when you add the men who sell motor cars and the men who service them. Moving the families of the one worker out of 7, gradually replacing family for family. We'd need all the houses in California, Oregon and Washington, Idaho, Utah and Arizona, Montana, Wyoming and Colorado, and part of Texas to find homes for the people who make their living directly because of the motor car. And this brings up an interesting question. What would these people be doing if the motor car had remained a luxury for a few rather than a necessity for so many? And what about all the people who depend indirectly on the motor car for the way they live? Looking at it this way, we can fill up all the homes from North Dakota to Texas and from Minnesota to Arkansas, all the way to the banks of the Mississippi with the families of the men who use motor cars or trucks in their business. The plumber, the painter, the florist, the meter man, the rural mail carrier, and of course, the more than 2 million salesmen on the road. Now, it seems that we've found out something else about the motor car and its effect on our living. One worker out of 7 either makes cars or parts, or sells or services them. And another one worker out of 7 uses the motor car to make his living. Pardon us, sir, but what do you do?
Why, I'm a traveling trimmer.
Yes, this man is a traveling trimmer who makes his living with his pruning saw and his truck. Yes, for that second man out of 7, there are all kinds of jobs that you might not even think of as being connected with the motor car. The traffic policeman, and the people who make and sell traffic lights and parking meters. But would you think of railroad engineers? You would if you knew that transporting raw materials and finished products to keep our American system of individual transportation by motor car rolling takes 4 million freight carloads per year. 1/6 of all retail business firms are connected with the automobile. Yes, even including little Jimmy's first business venture, the motor car makes business for America. And 1 out of every 5 retail sales dollars in America changes hands because the motor car made it possible. Yes, the motor car has been a key factor in all the ways we do business in America. But it has had even greater effect on the way we live and the pleasure we get out of living. Being able to drive out into the country has made many of us want to live in the country. And the motor car has made it possible for millions. Today, suburban construction is more than 3 times the construction in the city. And just as the motor car is a tool for working, with more than half of us using it to go to and from our daily work, so it is a tool for enjoyment. It puts America at our doorstep for business or pleasure. Whether you're traveling on business or pleasure, the chances are even that you'll travel by motor car. More than half of us take yearly vacations, and most of us take them on the highway. As a result, the tourist and resort industry ranks among the 3 most important industries in 16 states. We have seen how the Daguerre camera, a camera from the past, can take a picture of the past to show how our horizons have been expanded by the motor car. And the greatness of America has been that we are never content to stop at the horizon we can see. We know that there is another and another horizon beyond. The motor car industry, as it has recognized its responsibilities in our progress through yesterday to get where we are today, is already at work on the design of tomorrow, exploring, developing, testing to improve the cars we drive, to make them safer, more comfortable, more enjoyable. If we are to realize in full the motor car's vast potential for good, we must use it and care for it wisely. The motor car has been the key to open new horizons, not for the few, but for all. And all of us share in the responsibility of safeguarding the benefits it has brought. If we plan for the future, if we look ahead to clear all obstacles and roadblocks, if we recognize the importance of this great individual freedom of movement, the motor car will be the key to our ever-widening horizons of tomorrow.
New horizons. In a restless search for new opportunities and new ways of living, the mystery and the promise of distant horizons always have called men forward. First wondering, then searching, then continuing to explore, men have moved on and on, always to find that old horizons opened the way to new horizons. In a search that has continued for centuries, some far distant view with its promise of the unseen and its promise of the unknown has forever fathered the impulse to seek for new things in new places. New horizons, roads for men to go places. The accelerating rate of men's progress in all fields of endeavor has paralleled closely our progress in the freedom of movement from place to place. New things to do and new ways to do them. Telephone, electric lights, automobiles, aircraft, all are symbols of better living. New places to go and new means of getting there. With a growing appreciation of the wisdom of applying the road tax monies to the road building program for which they were designed, highway development is going on at a rapidly increasing pace. Created by the crossing of new horizons, new ways of living and new thinking have laid the foundation for most of what is good in life today. with the promise of more tomorrow. As distant families have become neighbors, and as people have constantly widened their viewpoints while multiplying the number of their contacts, more desires have developed to be satisfied. And with the demand for all of these conveniences and improvements, opportunities for employment of men, money, and materials have increased. And thus the highways of social and commercial developments are widening without end or limit, except the imagination, vision of men who do new things. Today, engineers are always leading us higher, widening the trails, while our men of science are broadening all our mental avenues with new activities, activities based on modern pioneering into new fields of research. Men exploring and pioneering for all to follow. Men endlessly seeking something new along the roads of civilization in the great unknown expanses of applied science and scientific research. All the new highways of research and exploration have brought to us more raw materials, new combinations of raw materials, new and greater productivity of the soil, making more plentiful an ever-widening range of goods. And as these goods come down from the farm, the mine, and the mill, progress on all the highways of human activity leads us to more opportunities for employment. An ever-widening range of goods made ever more plentiful from east to west, from north to south. Our greatest strides in providing more things for more people have been made at a time when the influence of new geographical frontiers was about over. Mentally and physically, we are progressing toward new horizons. To help us get a glimpse into the future of this unfinished world of ours, there has been created for the New York World's Fair a thought-provoking exhibit of the developments ahead of us, the greater and better world of tomorrow that we in America are building today. A vivid tribute to the American scheme of living, whereby individual effort, the freedom to think, and the will to do have given birth to a generation of men who always want new fields for greater accomplishment, and will always find new things for all others to enjoy. Come, let's travel into the future. What will we see? And now we have arrived in this wonder world of 1960. The World's Fair exhibit, modeled with such artistry and skill that we must continually remind ourselves the world we are now seeing is a vision, an artistic conception which may undergo many changes as it develops into the great realities of tomorrow. Sunshine, trees, hills and valleys, flowers and flowing streams. This world of tomorrow is a world of beauty. These eternal things wrought by God are lovely and unchanging. 20 years have passed. With new agriculture and industry, with new forms of education, recreation, a new world is constantly opening before us at an ever-accelerating rate of progress. A greater world, a better world, a world which always will grow forward. Man has forged ahead. New and better things have sprung from his industry and his genius. Here is a modern farm. The farmer of 1960 works in greater security, for science and research have helped him to control many of the risks of agriculture. Hours of work have been shortened, with almost universal electrification of rural areas. Fruit trees bear abundantly under individual glass housings. Orchards are protected against disease and insects. Science even influences pollination by artificial feeding. Does it seem strange? Unbelievable? Remember, this is the world of 1960, and physics and chemistry have joined hands with the farmer in helpful friendship. Here are the farm roads of the community. They have been improved and made to flow into great motorways. This superb one-direction highway, with its 7 lanes accommodating traffic at designated speeds of 50, 75, and 100 miles an hour, is engineered for easy grades and for speed with safety. Cars from the farm roads and feeder lanes join the motorway traffic at the same speed as cars traveling in the lane they enter. Here is an aeration plant, purifying the lake water and distributing it for hundreds of miles throughout the countryside. Here is a highway intersection. Highway engineering at its most spectacular. Traffic may move safely and easily without loss of speed. By means of the ramped loops, cars may make right and left turns at rates of speed up to 50 miles per hour. Elevated and depressed are the turning off lanes. There is no interference from the straight-ahead traffic in the higher speed lanes. The motorist of 1960 finds this intersection safe and efficient. The two-directional traffic of the motorway, which merged at the intersection, separates again. The highway surface is automatically lighted by continuous tubing in the highway safety curbing, which evenly illuminates the road surface. What's this just ahead? An amusement park, 1960. Man's progress has brought more leisure for amusement and recreation, bringing them within easier reach of more people. Industrial communities have gone ahead by multiplying the conveniences and comforts of living. Hundreds of comfortable homes for workers. All people benefited by broadening their scope of living, gaining by advanced means of communication and new methods of work. Here is a thriving and prosperous steel town. Notice the furnaces glowing, river and rolling mills. In the foreground is a model airport, an efficient combination of motor, air, and rail transportation in the world of tomorrow. And now we see an enlarged section of 1960s express motorway. Along the ledge of this beautiful precipice, traffic moves at unreduced rates of speed. safe distance between cars is maintained by automatic radio control. Curved sides assist the driver in keeping his car within the proper lane under all circumstances. The keynote of this motorway: safety. Safety with increased speed. This 1960 drama of transportation progress is but a symbol of future progress in every activity, made possible by constant striving toward new and better horizons. Now we see ahead a steep, challenging mountain climb. Here we see a quiet and peaceful religious retreat, seemingly growing from the rocks as it looks out over the lake and foothills. The slower lanes of the motorway wind in and about the foothills. But from this point on, tunnel and cling to the precipitous rock faces. One marvels at its complete accord with the breathtaking scenic beauty of its route. In the valley ahead, a picturesque resort town. Farther on is a canal with a series of flood control locks. And just beyond, a giant mountain lake dam with its spillway, companion buildings, and hydroelectric power plants, providing power and light for hundreds of miles around. The motorway continues through the mountains. Without tedious travel, the advantages of living in a small town are within easy reach, bringing the people who live there into closer relations with all the world around. Over space, man has begun to win victory. Space living, space for working, space for pay, all available for more people than ever before. Over a spectacular suspension bridge, the motorway enters a large city, spanning the navigable river on which it is situated and forming a gateway to the city. A feature of this bridge is the elimination of congestion and the elimination of interference from all the various converging motorways and from all the feeder roads. And now we see a great river city of 1960. 20 years ago, the population of this city was approximately 1 million persons. It is much larger, rebuilt and replanned. Residential, commercial, and industrial areas all have been separated for greater efficiency and greater convenience. A vast circular airport is close to the city with a giant dirigible hangar. So that it can be turned easily to meet any wind direction, it is resting in a pool of liquid. Outside is an airport with its hangars and planes. There are special facilities for handling sea of the inland airports of 1960. Here is an American city replanned around a highly developed, modern traffic system. The parks of the city have continuity, proper placement. These areas are united into long green strips surrounding each community. Along both banks of the river, beautifully landscaped parks replace the outworn areas of an older day. An industrial docking basin, newly completed, takes care of all the shipping from the adjacent industrial area. On all express city thoroughfares, the rights of way have been so rooted as to displace outmoded business sections and undesirable slum areas whenever possible. Man continually strives to replace the old with the new. A quarter of a mile high skyscraper's tower with convenient rest and recreational facilities for all. On many of the buildings are landing decks for helicopters and autogyros. Rich in sunshine is the city of 1960. Fresh air, fine green parkways, recreational and civic centers. Modern and efficient city planning, breathtaking architecture, each city block a complete unit in itself. Here is an important intersection in the great metropolis of 1960. Elevated sidewalks give a new measure of safety and convenience to pedestrians. They actually double the available width for traffic in the street. And so, we see some suggestion of the things to come. A world which, far from being finished, is hardly yet begun. A world with a future in which all of us are tremendously interested, because that is where we are going to spend the rest of our lives. In a future which can be whatever we propose to make it. True, each of us may have different ideas as to what that future will be. But every forward outlook reminds us that all the highways of all research and all communication, all the activities of science, lead us onward to better methods of doing things, with new opportunities for employment and better ways of living, as we go on determined to unfold the constantly greater possibilities of the world of tomorrow, as we move more and more rapidly forward, penetrating new horizons in the spirit of individual enterprise, in the great American way.
I am your permit to drive an automobile, your license to use the highway system of the United States. I am only a card in your wallet or purse, yet I unroll before your eyes a magic carpet, the millions of miles of highways and byways that crisscross the nation. I am your round-trip travel ticket, your passport to pleasure. With me, you can motor from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from the Gulf to the Great Lakes. You can travel with me as your only identification. I am the only commuter's ticket you need to drive to and from school or work, day after day, year after year. I have become vital to more than 50 million people in this land of ours. I am their constant companion. I go with them wherever they go. The farmer on his way at sunup, the bus driver, the truck driver, the ambulance driver, the policeman, the cab driver, No matter who they are, no matter where they are, I am with them. With me in their possession, the drivers of our millions of rubber-tired vehicles help keep turning the wheels of our national economy, whether they roll over highway or city street. For in the past 25 years, driving has opened the gate of commerce between city and farm, factory and consumer. With me in their possession, the daily life of millions has taken on new meaning. The family, the individual, has a freedom of movement so new it did not exist in the youth even of our own parents. For the automobile has brought with it, in less than a lifetime, a new way of life, a new standard of living, a standard of living matched by no other nation in the world. Because of the automobile, new industries have taken their place on our national landscape to add billions to our wealth by providing goods, services, and job opportunities undreamed of only yesterday. Our whole way of living has become geared to the automobile. I am your permit, your license, your permission to drive. I am a privilege and an obligation. Your obligation to drive skillfully, carefully, and legally. This year, there will again be thousands of innocent victims of those who will not recognize this obligation. I will be among the last papers of tens of thousands who will have no further use for me. And I may be merely a means of identification of almost 1 million whose injuries may be permanent. 1 million accident victims whose numbers contain twice as many 15 to 24-year-old drivers as any other. Over and over, I ask myself, why? Is it the supposed thoughtlessness of youth that takes such a toll? Is it inexperience that leads to the taking of foolish chances? Is it the failure of adults to teach the young people the right way to drive? Or is it my fault? Have I allowed myself to become taken for granted? I try to tell people when they write their names across my face that they're signing more than a signature, that they are signing a pledge to be the kind of driver they want others to be. I try to tell people that as a nation of more than 50 million drivers, we owe to each other the courtesy, the fair play each of us expects. As a nation, we set great store by sportsmanship. Almost all of us at some time play the game. And no matter what the game may be, it has its rules. Rules of courtesy and fairness and sportsmanship. Rules that